Hello, dear students. Welcome to What, Why, How, the daily initiative by IAS Baba, where we take up a current topic or an editorial and we declutter it in less than 10 minutes. The topic that I've chosen for today is the UGC's new draft rules. Now, understand UGC is the University Grants Commission. It primarily overlooks certain aspects of the higher education sector in our country. When I'm saying higher education, what is the standards of education that must be given to the students, certain aspects related to the facilities that should be there in each of these universities, etc. All of these things are overlooked by the UGC. Now, there is a recent controversy regarding certain regulations and rules which are published or given out, draft regulations and rules given out by UGC. And this is what we have to see as to what are the problems with it and what exactly is the problem. Now, the thing is, here, right now, UGC has passed certain rules that are aimed at reforming the appointment of vice chancellors and faculty in the universities and colleges. To understand this, you have to first get the idea that at the head of almost all the universities in a state, you have the chancellor. The chancellor is mostly the governor of the state. Underneath the chancellor, for each and every university that is there in your state, you will have a vice chancellor. Technically, the vice chancellor is appointed by a select committee, and in the select committee, you would have the chancellor, you would have certain members of the state government, you would have members of your any very reputed academicians, etc. And then finally, the vice chancellor gets appointed. Now, what has happened is the UGC is sought to amend this particular vice chancellor appointment. The first thing that is going to change is the vice chancellor appointment. The next thing is regarding the faculties of these universities. So, what are the changes that the UGC has recommended? The first change is, see, ideally, it is being mentioned in the previous regulations that the vice chancellor should be a very reputed academician or a professor who has had a minimum of 10 years of experience in the teaching field. Apart from that, he should also have a mandatory PhD and other specific teaching experience to be even considered as a vice chancellor. In the recent UGC regulations, they have said there is no mandatory requirement for a PhD or even specific teaching experience. In fact, they have also said that if not in teaching experience of 10 years, at least if there are professionals with 10 plus years of experience in industry, public administration, or public policy, even they can be considered. Now, this has changed the previous rules that say that only your professors or academicians can be considered for the role of vice chancellorship. The next major change that is right now turning out to be controversial is the second part. See, as I told you, the search committee for the vice chancellor usually had state government representatives. Right now, the UGC has said that the search committee for the vice chancellor will no longer include state government representatives. These are two major changes. Now, what exactly is the issue with it? The issue with it starts from the fact that it's a very interesting thing to note. See, first of all, there is a doubt about if at all UGC can pass such draft regulations. Why? Because ideally, UGC's role is just to talk about the standards in universities and the promotion, coordination of university education, etc. According to several past judgments, it is even said that all universities whichever is there under the central government or the state government, they are established under a law made by the respective legislature. The respective legislature can be central or it can be state. And why is it center or state? Because education is part of your concurrent list. Education is something mentioned in your concurrent list. So both your central government and state government can pass certain rules regarding what university can be created. This is the reason why certain universities in our country are central government universities and certain universities are state government universities. Now, be it central government or state government university, the entire administration, who all has to be there, what are their qualifications, etc., that is created by a law that is there for the creation of this university. For example, if I want to create a university X and I am state Y, so what happens is state Y will pass a law saying that creation of university X, and under that creation of university X, all the standards that has to be met would be mentioned. That means who has to be the vice chancellor, what are the qualification of the teachers, etc., is actually set by the state government or the central government, whichever is creating that university, which makes it clear that UGC doesn't have a role in there. That is the first problematic thing. Now, it is also been said in a certain judgment, which is the Suresh Pathikhede versus the Chancellors Universities of Maharashtra and others judgment, which is in 2011, that the legislature which prescribes the qualifications, mode of selection, and conditions of the service of the vice chancellor, it is only the legislature which can do so and not the UGC. So this is the first problem as to how something UGC has done something that is not under its scope. The second problem is, if at all the UGC regulation does come, the next question is, can this regulation override an act that is passed by the state legislature? Because suppose if a state legislature is saying certain conditions for vice chancellor appointment, and UGC just passed, it's not a law, it's just regulations which are much smaller in power than your law. If UGC passed regulation, the question is, if a central government body like UGC's regulation will override the state government's law. We are comparing two different things here. We are comparing, can a regulation override a law? But the problem is, the regulation is actually created by a central government body. UGC is a central government body. Now, for this, what has been mentioned is, whenever there is a state law, what overrides a state law is a bill passed by both houses of parliament and assented to by the president, and certainly not a subordinate legislature. What is the meaning of this? That means subordinate legislation means anything which are your rules, regulations, etc., will not override an act passed by the state government. If an act passed by the state government has to be overridden, it should be another act passed by the central government. The comparison can only be between the central government act and the state government act. I hope this is also clear. So these are the two major contentious issues. Now, the context of this is, because of this UGC draft regulations, even as we speak today, states like Kerala and Tamil Nadu have already passed resolutions that are rejecting UGC's this current draft regulation which is there. In the coming days, this can even turn out to be a federal issue, because the power to appoint vice chancellors, their qualifications, etc., is now for ages being given to the state government. If UGC is overriding into the field, now the idea is UGC is not doing this on a purposeful matter. UGC's draft regulation is actually trying to standardize and streamline appointments, which is a very commendable thing. But in doing so, what they have done is, they have centralized all the power related to your vice chancellorship, whoever is going to be the head of the university, into a central government body. And this can be quite problematic. So the problem over here is the centralization of power at the expense of the states, and this undermines federal principles and institutional autonomy. And this exactly is the issue in the crux of your UGC draft regulations. So I hope those who've been hearing UGC and everything here and there have now clarity on what exactly is happening. Until we meet again, take care and happy learning.